And some woman stood up in the audience and started speaking, like yelling in Italian. And everybody there had headphones on because there was multiple languages that were being translated into. And I picked up mine and put them in, and she's screaming, and Offit had this look on his face like, you know, like she was yelling at me, but she was screaming at him. And bottom line was that one of the neurologists there had started using our protocol for their child who was 12 years old at the time. And after 6 months, the child had started to speak and no longer had to wear diapers. And she was cursing Offit, and he didn't know what was being said. He just had a smile on his face till he put on the headphones. And I realized, because she basically was saying, you know, all sorts of curse words, because even the interpreters were going, "You are one," and then he stops and he's like, "Can we say that?" Because he didn't know, because it was that much livid. And people started clapping, and then I realized that the truth will be known. My dad's always said the truth will be known. I had no idea that Offit wrote a book and dedicated a whole chapter to me. I still don't know who the idiot was at that point, but it's a whole chapter he wrote about me in the book. I've realized that they don't want the opportunity to debate us one-on-one, because if they do, then they would show their own vulnerabilities. They would show the lack of their science. But the key point is that when they talk about the vaccines are the key, the part that, again, this cognitive dissonance component and this illogical aspect, if you have been vaccinated, then why are you worried about those that haven't been vaccinated? You're already vaccinated, you're already protected. And to Bobby's comment, when he starts his lectures and saying, "I'm pro-vaccine," I've always said, I am not anti-vaccine. I have never been anti-vaccine. I've always been anti-stupidity. And every aspect of the current human intervention using vaccinations, it's defying every aspect of human physiology. So the whole thing about, well, somebody said that they're pro-vaccine, that they don't understand the argument. I've been attacked saying, "I can't believe, Dr. Butera, you, after testifying, blah, 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 you're pro-vaccine." I'm like, where did that come from? It came from because I said, they just read part of it. What I had said was, if there was ever a vaccine, it's like a unicorn. If there was a unicorn, I would love to have one. I would love to have a vaccine that didn't have adjuvants, that didn't have immunosuppressives, that was actually able to seroconvert at the time that it was given without any adverse effect. It's like, Del, you remember when we had the conversation in Acapulco, and we talked about this and we said, great concept, bad product, right?
Right.
How many people would get on a plane and travel if you knew that 1 out of 32 of you would either die or have permanent neurological implications? And everybody says the same thing. I wouldn't fly. Well, why are we, this is the same thing. We have legs. God gave us legs to walk. But because man came along and said, listen, I don't want to walk from here to South Africa, Johannesburg. Let me develop some new technology. And so we decided to fly. Well, it's the same type of thing. Vaccines are designed the way our bodies work to create immunity. Great concept. You got me so far. But now you're going to start introducing things into the body under the pretense of public safety that's suppressing the immune system and giving additional things that are immunosuppressive and that are irritating the immune system at a time when the body can't even seroconvert. It defies all logic again. And this is the question of why are we doing this? I'm not against vaccinations. I think it's a great idea if you can make something that's not going to hurt a person, but to make something that's going to hurt a person more than the original disease that they're worried about, it's just madness.
That's really
go ahead.
Great explanation. I just wanted to bounce over to Bobby with that. I'm sorry, Del, we want to hear from you too, but that is such a good point that we hear from a lot of our opponents. When we even mention in the film that we produced, we talk about, there's two sides to the coin. Let's look at both of them. Let's not say anti or pro-vax. Let's look at the facts and then figure out what's best for humanity, because we're all pro-kids, we're all pro-family, and we're all pro-life. So yeah, we get pegged when we say things like that. And I just wanted to say, Bobby, what would your statement on this be? I mean, you come out and say, I would be for vaccines if you could show me that they're safe and effective. So I think that that's the way we feel. If we find a safe and effective vaccine, we're for it. But I don't think we found one, Ty. Bobby?
Muted?
Bobby, you're muted. You're muted.
If you can, I put it on mute. I occasionally turn the film off because I didn't eat all day and I was eating lunch. I was trying to eat lunch until Andy started talking about the laudable pus, and then I didn't do it. And so now I'm good. But and the mute is off, I agree with 100% with what Rashid was saying, which is I'm all for vaccines if they can make them safe and effective. I've never seen it happen before, but it's a great theory. But I always, part of my job is to try to bring in people into this movement who are not part of the choir, to build the movement. And you don't build the movement by starting from a position is, I hate all vaccines and all vaccines are bad. You have to be open. You have to, I always start by telling audiences, I'm for vaccines, never for mandatory vaccines. If there's a vaccine that is good for me and it's, it has no bad side effects and it does everything that it's advertised to do, which is to protect me from disease for life, I would, of course, take that vaccine. I just haven't seen it happen. For many years, I've told people, and one of the primary tools of our opponents is to characterize us all as anti-vax. The mainstream of our country and of the world believes all of the propaganda about vaccines. And so if they can convince, if New York Times and CNN can convince somebody that you're anti-vax, they then have a license to shut you up and to marginalize you and to discredit you and to not listen to what you're saying. Well, I try to open up all of the opportunities and possibilities for people to listen to me. I've been against mercury in fish. I've been fighting against it for 40 years, but that doesn't make me anti-fish. I've been fighting to get pesticides out of food for many years, but that doesn't make me anti-food. I'm not, like you say, Rashid, I'm anti-stupidity. I'm against bad science. I'm for good science. I'm for robust science and for honest regulators. And we don't have any of those things. And I'm all for good vaccines that are effective and safe if they can ever be made. The problem is nobody's ever done it yet.
Yeah, that's a perfect explanation. And I think everybody on this panel would agree with that, Rashid and Bobby. Thank you for sharing that. Our time is drawing nigh that we're going to have to close another amazing hour. But I know, Dale, you wanted to say something, so I wanted to give you that opportunity.
Well, I just want to piggyback because I think there's an easier way to, I agree with everything that's being said, but the truth is one of our biggest complaints from the movement that's fighting, Bobby Kennedy have won lawsuits against government agencies, NIH, Health and Human Services. We're winning because we're right. But, one of our biggest complaints is that they keep saying, the pro-vaxxers keep saying the science is settled. And we all know, anyone that's been through a high school science class knows that's the least scientific statement you could possibly make. And that's why I don't say I'm anti-vaccine. It's the same as saying my science is settled. Nothing will ever happen in the future that could change my mind. That makes you an idiot, and that makes you unscientific. What I'm saying is the current scientific, the current process of vaccinations and all the safety studies we look at that are non-existent, that this is not a product I would use. Is there a case? I'm not anti-science, I'm pro-science. And so I'm not saying the science is settled. There may be an illness so dangerous that somehow either it's a biological attack or a mutation that happens. It's possible it could be out there in our future. And there's a vaccine that's so safe and so great that I might change my mind. I leave myself open to that. That's what having a scientific mind and, is all about, right? Is not closing doors. It's understanding what you're looking at. And to be very specific, and this is something I talk about a lot now as I'm being interviewed, I'm not against vaccination. I think it's perfectly noble to try and protect people that are in acute risk from COVID-19 right now with a vaccine. Great, go right ahead. Here's my problem. My problem is that the vaccine should be designed for people that need it. When we look at COVID-19, 95% of the people have no issue with this illness whatsoever. They're going to have a robust immune reaction that will be it'll last far longer. It will be able to handle more mutations of the virus. It is the Ferrari of immunity, and a vaccine has only ever provided the Pinto of immunity. That's the best they can do. It's not their fault. So I want that long-term immunity that lasts and can cover many more different mutations. I don't have to go into the shop every time the thing breaks down because it lasts forever. That's where I'm at. But here's the problem. Make the product for those that need it. What we cannot allow any longer is this idea that science only knows how to make a product that all the 95% of healthy people can take, but not the immune suppressed, not those that are in danger. That is such an obvious advertising marketing scheme. You got to hand it to them. They don't want to make a treatment right now that takes care of 0.1 to 0.3% of people are dying and having an acute reaction. There's no money in that. They want the rest of us, 99.7% of us, to take a product we don't need. That's the problem with modern medicine. That's the problem with science. Go ahead, make the vaccine. You are capable. I am so sure that the scientists of the world and all the funding coming from Bill Gates, you are completely capable of making a product for the tiny percentage of group of people that really do need it. Focus on them and let the rest of us alone. Let's have the Ferrari of immunity, get on with our lives, having a robust, herd immunity that protects all those other people in the future. We are the heroes, the ones that get this common cold right now, not by sitting in your basement, eating a Burger King, watching Nintendo, playing Nintendo, and watching television all day. That is not going to save this country. What's going to save this country is getting out there for 95% of us, soldier up and go and get this cold, and let's get on with the rest of our lives.
I want to say one thing, and that is that I have publicly stated I will go anywhere on the planet, no matter how rampant the issue is. I will shake their hand, I will hug them, and if she's good looking enough, I'll even kiss her. I have no problem with, I wouldn't kiss you, though, Ty, even though you have tried to kiss me before. I have no problem with getting that exposure, as long as you let me have my little, pills and potions that I have, because I'm sure I might get sick, but I know that in a day or 2 or 4 days or 5 days, I'll be fine. It is that safe that I'm willing to do that. The whole point is any vaccine, in my opinion, is going to defy human physiology based upon the history and the precedent that's been set in the past. And that's the reason I will die if somebody tries to force a vaccine on me. I have no problem taking on the COVID-19 or anything else. If I die, I die. Everybody, we all die, right? But to be forced with the vaccine, no, it's not going to happen here.
Rachid,
remember that, and you give me a good eulogy.